So, welcome back to Explain the CZ. While Mikhail prepares his notes, I'm going to tell you what question I will ask him.
Again, please.
Nope, you get one take at this. Go. So today, the question that I want explained is about Czech names, because as a foreigner, there are a few unusual things for me that Czechs do with your names and the way that you call each other and greet each other. So, explain.
Yeah, I think it's more about like Czech language that our words we can use are more like. We could bend them a little more, and with the names especially. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So just a statement to make sure that in Czechs have two names, one name and one surname, and that's it.
No middle names.
No middle names. Not it can be, but not the typical.
Right.
So I'll give you list of five most common but confusing variation of names. Okay? You can guess if you want to.
What am I guessing?
The variation of the name.
I will give
you a name, and you will try to give me a variation. I choose the variation that are not similar to the main one.
Okay. So we should explain this. So there is the official name.
There's the official name.
But then there's like official nicknames that are variations of that name.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right.
Exactly. So there's a name Jan.
And the variation is Hansa.
Very nice.
So many people who are named Jan, or that's the version of John, but you could also call them Hansa.
Yeah.
And it's the same.
It basically means that in the ID card they have a Jan, but they would write somewhere even Hansa. They could like write it in the form, it would be fine. But not in the bank or...
I remember when I found this out, but they're so different.
So different.
Why? Do you have any idea why you would call someone named Jan? Why call them Hansa?
I will tell you.
Good.
Okay.
Oh, I'm glad. Okay.
But let's get to the five most common. Go ahead. Then there's a Josef, which is...
Josef, and the variation would be...
Yeah. There would be Peppa.
Peppa.
Josef, Peppa.
I haven't heard that for a long time.
It's the same person, same name.
Right, Peppa.
Then there's Alexander.
Sasha.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep. I have a colleague here.
Okay.
Alexandra and Sasha.
Alexander and Sasha.
Yeah. That's nice.
Antonin.
Tony?
Tonda. This one is a little bit.
We have this, Anthony and Tony.
Okay.
We do this.
Okay.
Tonda.
Okay.
I don't think I ever heard that.
Yeah.
Tonda.
And the last one is the woman's name, Alžběta.
Alžběta.
Uh-huh.
I never met anyone named. I have no idea.
Betty.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. So actually, let's get back to the Jan. Because all these names has actually reason.
You can see the connection.
Yeah, you can see the connection. So for the Jan, the Hebrew name that comes from is Yohanan. And then there's a German version that is Johannes. And the short German is Hans.
Okay.
And the Hans is very close to the Hansa.
Okay.
So it's actually from the German. Yeah.
Through Germany and back. Okay.
Yeah. So it's very similar with the other names. They come like from the variations from a different language.
Interesting.
But you are right that we have a lot of like home variation of the names.
Right.
Like for example, myself, I'm a Michal, but people can call me like actually a lot of things. They could call me Misha, Mishka, Mishan, Mishanek, Mishak, Mikey, Michalek. Well, some of them like
I never heard most of these, but
okay, yeah. Some of them like it would be strange if the guy would like call them
Because
Call
I've
me with
noticed,
them.
I know a few.
But let's not get into that today.
Right, because Misha is actually usually the short form of Mikala, which is a female name, and most like any woman named Mikhail whom I'm close with, I would call Misha.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But I feel like I shouldn't. I never call you Misha, and I think it would be strange if I did call you
Uh-huh.
Misha, right?
Yeah,
But
it
your
would be
female
strange.
friends call you Misha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So each of these many different nicknames have their own nuances and appropriate use.
Mhm.
That's a bit complex.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But I just want to say that like the original names, like man and woman, they are quite clear if by the name if it's a man or woman.
It's true.
But then if it's a home name,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot just by hearing it, you
Mhm.
cannot really say if it's a man or woman.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. Because each name has like at least 6 variations. You don't have to use it, but
Right.
people use it.
Right.
So
But it's
Just know
it's
it.
confusing if you know someone, but then you hear someone calling them, and it's
Yeah.
quite a different name. So
well, if you hear it, it means that he's more friendly with each other
right,
because they wouldn't use it in work.
right. In
It's
work,
more usual if it's a woman that like a boss would call her this more friendlier way.
I mean, we do it a bit in the U.S. also, not with every name, but a lot of names. I mean, if someone is named Frank, maybe at work he would be Frank, but his friends might call him Frankie or something like this. And so it exists, but definitely it's much more. There are much more variations in Czech, and we didn't even talk about the diminutives yet.
So I will give you actually 5 most common names, just so you can get like a feeling what Czech name sounds like. The most used one are actually right now Marie, Jiří, Jan, Jana, a Petr. This is the one that you can easily, like when you come here, you can hear them, or your friends will be the names.
It feels like, and I
You
don't think
probably
I'm
know
exaggerating.
some of them.
Oh, I know people named with all of those names. I think it's probably something like 15% of the Czech population has those.
This
those
is the
names.
most common one. Yeah. And the most common surnames that could be more interesting for you. Do you have a guess?
Let's see.
Just one.
Novak.
Very good. Novak is the
And
first. And
Šťastný? Is that there?
No.
Bili.
it could be 2, but I have a list of the most common. So the
so
first
it's
would
not
be
there.
Novak,
Okay.
Svoboda,
Svoboda.
Novotný,
Mm-hmm.
Dvořák.
Dvořák is one of the most popular ones. Oh, okay.
Černý.
And Černý.
It's
yeah.
it's most used.
Yeah.
And
And about the surnames, actually something I really like about Czech names is with the first name and the last name, you know if it's a man or a woman.
True.
So maybe for the
Not
surname,
not with the first one, but with the surname.
for the first one, usually female names end with A.
Yeah.
Not always, but almost always.
Yeah.
But with the surname, you definitely know.
Mm-hmm.
You could explain that.
Yeah, with the surname, there's a bit different ending.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a Novak, the girl's name would be Nováková.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a Černý,
Mm-hmm.
the girl's name would be Černá.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really complex way how to find out, and all the Czechs doesn't really think about it. They have it in their head already. So
Usually-
if ask them, they know
Right.
in like 99%. But to make it less complicated, this doesn't work 100%. But let's say if the man's name ends with Y,
Mm-hmm.
it turns to A if it's a woman.
Okay.
So Černý, Černá.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Černý, Mrs. Černá.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if it ends with A
Mhm.
on the man's side, it turns to Ova.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Mr. Svoboda,
Svoboda,
Mrs.
Svobodová.
Svobodová. Mm-hmm.
or if it's ended with A or K,
Mm-hmm.
it turns to Ova.
Okay. Well, and so it means I'm less sure, less percentage of the time, but if you see OVA on the end of the surname, it's a woman.
That's definitely a woman.
Yeah.
If you see A too, it's definitely a woman.
What about Svoboda?
Well, if you see long A.
With the accent.
One, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky.
Trying to make it simpler, but
if you want to get into it, feel free to do, but it's really complex thing.
Okay. Shortcut, if you see OVA, it's a woman. Otherwise, better to ask maybe. But at least there is this idea that I appreciate, because since I deal with names in a lot of different languages, I'm never quite sure. But with most Czech names, right from the beginning, I know if this should be a Mr. or a Mrs. thing.
Well, now the trend is that some of the women would marry like a foreign one, and he would be like Smith.
Right.
So we could actually say Smithova.
Smithova.
But we would keep it. We would say Jana Smith, because it's a foreign name.
Right.
So one thing that is a little bit maybe special about the Czech names is that we have actually name days. So for each typical Czech name, there would be a name day that we would celebrate. So there's a whole calendar, and each day is at least one name, men's and women's. And it's like, it's a little bit less than, the importance for the person is less than its birthday.
Less than a birthday.
Yeah.
Okay, that's important.
It's something like to celebrate, like in a work maybe.
Okay.
Like you see that he has a name day, so we'll just congratulate him and give him something maybe small. If it's small.
Yeah, this is something really confusing for me, because in America this doesn't really exist at all. I know a few other European countries do it, but I'm never sure how important it is. I don't keep track of whose name day is which day. But yeah, it seems Czechs are pretty organized with it. And even if you buy an agenda book in the Czech Republic, each day will often have written there, today, May 5th, is the day of...
Especially if you go to a flower shop, there's always board with the name.
To remind you.
To remind you that you should buy.
You should buy flowers. For
this. Yeah.
Okay, right. Do you think it matters to people if you don't remember their name day? Could it?
Yeah.
It could.
It could.
I should be more careful then.
Well, if you're a foreigner, it's not a big deal. If it's in the work and you want to have a good relationship, you should remember.
Okay.
But it's really easy
harder.
because if you go like to your email, we use Seznam, so he will always tell you which name day is the day.
Okay.
And even on the calendar, we have the name days. It's everywhere to see.
Right. I'll try harder.
And the last thing is like a special thing. I want to give you a special website that you can actually find on the names of like all the names and surnames in Czech Republic. And if you type, let's say, name Novak, you can see how many people have this name in which, let's say, like in Prague, how many exactly, and how old are they. So if you wanna,
that's a bit creepy.
Yeah. So if you wanna see like your friend, how many other people has the same name or surname, you can check it out. We will leave the link down below.
Feel free to stalk the Czech population and figure out their most common and most unusual names.
And if you want, maybe for you, it's good too. There's gonna be another link for the name day calendar, so you can see for your Czech friends which days.
You should start using that. And if you have Czech friends, then you should think about knowing what day is their name day, because everyone that they know will be congratulating them on their name day, and you should too. It would be a nice way of showing that you understand the Czech culture. More than me, because I don't.
Yeah,
I should.
so just be aware there's a name day. So
Right.
if you see like at work somebody is congratulating, it doesn't mean he has a birthday.
Right. Also true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you run out and get a gift or something, then that would be
Yeah.
too
Or
much.
happy birthday.
Yeah. And then you'll have to get gifts for all of your colleagues every time they have a name day, and it's just going to get out of control.
Yeah.
But so it's a good thing you watched this video, so you can save money on gifts.
Yeah, it's not such a big deal, but if you're gonna do it, you will look like you belong.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the goal, which is also the goal of watching our videos, to know more about the Czech culture. And if you want to know even more things that you probably didn't even realize you were missing about the Czech culture, you should subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the videos.
If you have any questions, please leave us a comment.
All right, thanks for watching.
Thank you.